Okay, we're live. Sorry, guys. We weren't even paying attention, or I wasn't paying attention.
Good morning. Hey, change the screen, Claude. You got me on full screen.
No, I don't.
No, he doesn't.
Oh,
You might need to refresh.
Oh, that's right. I never turn this thing back.
No, you're not on full screen.
There we go. Okay.
We don't want to scare the entire world.
Oh, God, no. Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Anyway, good morning, guys. We have no guests this morning, but Allie's joined us this morning, so we will do one of our usual whatever you guys feel like talking about shows. And we've just been trying to get Steve squared away on his tender, but I don't think it's possible, so we'll leave it at that.
Roy says no sound.
No sound?
What about the other guys? Y'all hearing it?
Anybody else hear us?
Yeah, we got Rob T-Man, Jerry.
Roy says never mind. It was probably on his end.
Roy Ethan, we got Dwayne, Bernard, Rob T-Man. Did I miss anybody?
School Kill John just jumped on.
Yep.
John just jumped on. Let's see that. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Hi, John.
Yeah, Roy probably just pulled a Claude with the volume on his phone or whatever he's watching, computer. That's what I would do. Have it turned off and go, wait a minute, I can't hear anything.
Yeah, chat's just flying by. What's everybody doing this morning?
Hey, Bill's here. Good morning, Bill.
Hey, Bill. How's the third layout coming? I haven't watched many updates. I've been too busy.
Excuse me.
I scared the crap out of Gus this morning. I was talking with Allie. I set these trucks on here, and next thing I know, this one hit the floor. I mean, they're 25 pounds, and scared the crap out of Gus. He's still shaking.
It didn't sound so loud at this end, but because it was right next to where Gus is right now, in his little bed there, I think, yeah, the poor little thing.
He's still shaking. Come on.
He goes, I'm going to chew your shoes up tonight, Dad.
Come here. Come here, good morning. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
I don't do.
Anyway, yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, how's everybody doing?
Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
I finally got an update out on mine. I think most of you guys have seen it already, but
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I haven't.
It's because you didn't look.
Oh God!
Well, I was just on your channel.
Steve, I told you I was going to do one yesterday.
I know.
Yeah, and I did finally.
Well,
I finally had some stuff to show. That was the problem. I hate doing updates just to do one every month or something when I don't have a lot to show for it because it seems kind of ridiculous. But
you got a lot done.
Yeah, I got more done than I thought I had, but it's all off most of it was off the layout.
Yeah.
I did do some on the layout early on, but then I kind of forgot I'd worked on it up there. I've been working on the buildings more. So, it's out of sight, out of mind. I haven't been upstairs until yesterday, once in the last month. And that was last week when I went up there to figure out where the roundhouse was going to sit for sure. So anyway, yeah, the roundhouse turned out really nice. I like it. And
awesome.
I'm going to put a wood floor in it, plank floor in it. So I've got some wood coming for that. So that ought to make it look really good too. Anyway, what was I going to do? Oh, I know what I was going to do. I was going to check dates.
Yeah. When is our 2-year anniversary? I know it's coming up here quick.
I don't know exactly. Allie, do you remember when we started? You weren't around either.
No, I wasn't. Good question, Claude.
Because I didn't join.
I could probably find that out.
Yeah, I didn't join the group until after the first of the year. But yeah, we'd have to go back and look at the first one. I was looking at Christmas. Okay, we'll have a show next week. That's the 18th. And then the next week is Christmas. And the week after that's New Year's. So we'll have 2 weeks off at least after next week.
So
everybody, yeah.
We need to assume that next week is our 2-year
anniversary. Okay.
I'm sure it was in November.
Okie dokie. So
it probably was.
What's the date on this one? This is the stop playing. This is the premiere trailer for Back on Track Live. That was on November 22nd, 2019.
There you go. Okay.
Oh, okay. It was November then. So we're already past it.
Yeah, we've missed it.
Oh.
Okay.
That's for the premiere, but the actual first episode is November 30th.
Okay. Well, so let's do a contest next week then. Let's do a contest next week. We'll have to figure out what we're going to do, but we'll have to do something and give away something. So,
yeah. Can you believe we've been doing this for 2 years?
Yeah.
And
the shows go by fast, but
what's even more amazing is people have hung around that long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
a
is
very
true.
Good point.
This is true. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed the show last week. And here after the first of the year, we got Anthony with the Georgia Sunbelt line is going to join us. I'm not sure exactly the date yet until he gets back from vacation stuff with family and all that kind of stuff. But he's going to join us, and I'll work on some more guests in the meantime. But anyway, so that's what we're doing. Nothing.
A few more to say hi to. We got Steve Anderson jumped in, Dwight Curley. We got Lee. Morning, Lee. Let's see.
Jerry's here.
I guess not Jerry.
Oh, I guess Jerry's been here for a while, ain't he, though?
Yeah, Jerry doesn't count. He's been here for a while.
Okay.
I think he was one of the original team too. I think was it Jerry? Let's have a look at this. Who's on here?
I don't remember if it was Jerry. I know Brian was on here.
No,
Shannon,
Brian, Allie, me, and Shannon is kind of. Well, actually, originally started with me and Shannon because we were.
I'm just looking at the first episode now. I'm just trying to see who actually appears. And
we all came off of Steve Brown's channel.
Yeah, and
we've got Shannon, Joe G, Steve, and Brian.
Yeah, Joe G and oh golly, I can't think of names.
Oh yeah, I'd have to.
I can see the faces, but I can't think of names.
Yeah,
there were several others that never really got on the show, but maybe once or twice.
There was like I think we had like 8 or 10 moderators on that.
Yeah, there were several.
Even Sparky, I think.
Yes, I was gonna say Sparky was the original too. He was the original putting people on timeouts.
Yeah,
I think you did that once or twice. Steve.
Oh, you sound terrible, Allie.
Yeah, Allie, your mic's messing up. Very garbled.
Gobble. Okay.
Lots of static.
Hey, Pappy. Pappy's here now.
Hey,
Good to see you, Pappy.
How's it going, Pappy? Yeah, how's it going, Pup? We got Pappy.
Yeah, I don't know why it messed up.
We got
testing.
Nope, still bad. Very staticky.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Steve Anderson said you went digital.
Yeah.
Like in Tron or something.
Really?
Has that fixed anything?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Try it again.
Okay.
Yeah, much better.
What do you guys all want to talk Isn't it funny how we just no show, nothing to talk about? Yeah.
Nothing.
Well,
Well,
what about
that's pretty
we talk
normal.
about like
Oh, it's trying to screw
our
up again,
previous
Allie.
shows? Oh, is it?
Yeah, just a little bit now, but it's still trying to do it.
What was y'all's favorite episode this year? We had a few really good ones.
Yeah, we did.
Does that do anything?
What?
So
No,
Is it better?
No, it's still trying to.
yeah.
That's
I think our one 2 weeks ago was probably the best. One of the best.
What did we do 2 weeks ago?
No,
I can't even remember.
Our guest, and I can't remember his name offhand. With the HON3 layout.
Oh, that was last week.
Is that last week?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, last week. that was a really good one. That was
yeah. He was, he was more interesting than I was after him for the layout part, his railroading part of it.
Yeah.
And then we got to talk. I got to talking to him before we did the show, and found out he was a meteorologist and what his wife was doing and all this stuff. And it's like, wow.
Yeah,
he's doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, his wife has got a pretty interesting classified job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I know our episode up at Train Mountain last summer was pretty cool.
Bernard said it was when he won my turnout.
No.
Well, that makes sense.
Have you used it?
Yeah. Dwayne wants to know how your parents are doing, Allie.
Much better now. Thank you.
No, bad.
No.
You might need to reboot or something.
Yeah.
Well, hang on.
Yeah. Get off and get back on again. Ooh, that's bad.
Yeah, I think my favorite, I'm with Rob. Last week was great. Train Mountain. Oh, my trip west. That was far back as the mind can remember now. It wasn't, the trip that I took wasn't so much the show that I did on it, was the trip itself. But I really liked the one you guys, when you went up Train Mountain and Chuck was up there and filming. That was a really good show.
Yeah, Chuck really made that show what it was. Have 2 cameras. That was really good.
Okay, better?
Nope.
Better.
No. What? Talk.
Is it?
Talk.
1 2 1 2 1 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's better.
You're fine.
Better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh dear, I wonder what that was all about.
We're going to get y'all up to Train Mountain next summer. Have a big old back on track reunion.
I'd love to go traveling.
So when he got me laughing so hard, I had tears in my eyes. You'd have to refresh my memory, Al. I'm too old to remember that. I'm sure it happened. That's why the hours go by so fast on this, even when we don't have a guest, because we always have a good time.
Yeah, Steve says likes picking on Shannon. That I agree.
John said his favorites were the ones where he was on. Funny, John. Nobody else picked those.
Well, why don't you jump back on, John? You're welcome.
He was a savior when we did have some issues when we were sorting out. I think it was StreamYard was the issue.
Yeah. That and Shannon was having some problem too. I think, wasn't he, at the time? So that helped.
Oh yes, that's right.
Actually, when we had Pappy on, that was another good show.
Yeah, we've had some good shows, and it's always fun to talk to people that you see their layouts and stuff, and actually get to ask them questions one-on-one and hear from them. Other than just seeing their channel and hearing them talk. For me, that's the most fun when we have a guest on.
Listen, Bernard, Bernard says Train Mountain, your pool, Steve Switcher, Steve counting all his F units. Got to make that Steve Arnold. What does that mean? Sounds
Steve
good.
Switcher. And counting all your F units.
Okay.
I'm not sure what that means, but
they're all sitting on the other side collecting dust. I need to put everything away because it's going to be a while until I get out there.
Yeah.
I must admit, it was fun watching you, Steve, at Train Mountain with what was your friend's name? The one with the steam logo?
Tim Parks.
Oh,
Tim.
that was Tim. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Tim was there.
That was a good episode.
Yeah, it was a good episode. That episode actually, I think, was the longest one we did.
Yeah.
Besides the beans.
Yeah,
I think
it was like 2 hours or something.
Some of the beans that we did early on, not last summer, but summer before last, when we were all locked down. That for me were some of the most fun to do.
I think we had one that was like 5 hours or something.
Oh yeah, I got a lot done on the layout that time period. A lot done.
Was that? So that was the one you were going for the record, wasn't it? You were trying to see how long you could go for. So you got tired
on the 5 hour. And no, I don't know that we ever really talked about that, did we?
No,
I think it was more of the fact that we realized we were on that long. Yeah. We did the one this week. When did we do that? Tuesday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I think
was it Wednesday? Anyway, we did one this week.
Yeah.
And we were on 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel anywhere near that long.
Yeah, and 2.5 hours of that was trying to drill that hole. Don't buy Harbor
with a cheap bit.
Yeah, that's why Harbor Freight bits are so bad.
Steve found out at what temperature the stainless steel will melt.
Yeah.
And it's at a higher temperature than the bit from Harbor Freight.
Yeah, this place got so smoky. I had to put Gus inside and open the door. It was so smoky from burning that hole. Yeah, go watch the replay. You can see that. That was really fun.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's for to me. Yeah, the beans are a lot of fun because I'm not sitting here watching the computer. I'm actually doing some. But I miss a lot too on there from chat because chat will get to going and I'm not even paying attention to that because I'm working on something.
Well, it's amazing how many people we get to just watch us do nothing. I think we had like 14 people on.
Yeah, yeah. That tells me how many people don't have lives.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even when we finally had to get off, I mean, we still had 3, I think, plus us.
Yeah, Roy says 2.75 hours of Steve making noise that hurt my ears on my headset, and me asking Claude to mute Steve.
Yeah, I should save that bit. I should take it back to Harbor Freight.
That tells you how bad my hearing is. It didn't bother me all that much. If I wasn't trying to talk over it, it didn't bother me too much. But
I wonder what I did with it. I think I still.
Was there anything left?
No, I've got the little one, but yeah, that big one, because I had to have a 1-inch hole, and man, that step bit just didn't like that last ring.
Bernard says you demoed how the engines made fire with that bit.
Yeah, it was smoking, that's for sure.
How you get them fired up?
Yeah, this thing's been a bit of a challenge. Every time I get to one project, I go, oh man, now what do I do? The plumbing is going to be a biatch on this thing.
It won't be that hard.
Man.
We'll get it figured out.
I'm just having a look at this Back on Track premiere episode, and I wanted to see who was in the chat. We had people like Heavy J and Norman Rowe, N-Scale Union Pacific Evanston Subdivision, Grandpa Rails, Rick J, Creative Rails, Indian Head Valley. Oh yeah, Claude, you were here.
Yeah, I made the first show. I wasn't on, but I was in chat.
Yeah, we
You were
had
there.
Roy Smith on right at the beginning. He helped kick us off, getting him as a guest.
Yeah, we need to get
RDNT,
Roy on here again sometime.
Gary Corbin. Who else was here?
Yeah,
Fred Wild.
Having him on kind of gave us some legitimacy.
Yeah, we still get Fred in here every now and then.
Fred Wild, yeah.
I know the show. It's kind of like me with the evening shows that people do. I can't always get to the evening shows, but because I'm doing something else. But I know that's why a lot of people don't come to our show, is because they've got other conflict of interest, or they've got other conflicts that they've got to take care of.
Well, that's why I have a hard time.
Whether it's work or whatever.
Sparky, always hits it at dinner time or something. So sometimes the shows, the time is just goofy.
Yeah. And then you get the people that just don't like us. So.
And on the West Coast, he wants to be up at 7 o'clock in the morning watching us do nothing. True.
This is true.
Well, Tim said he'd jump on more often, except he says you too damn early. Oh God!
It's
Even
bad enough when
Roy was there.
Was he?
Container Man, 68. He was on the. He was there at the premiere episode.
Yeah. Well, we need to get Roy on the show sometime when he's not driving all over creation.
Yeah, I was lucky enough. I got to meet Roy twice up here. He got to meet Gus when he was a puppy.
I keep figuring I'm going to get to meet him sometime because he's got relatives close. So,
are you doing better now?
And Roy says there are people that don't like Back on Track. I don't know, Roy. I'm just I'm just guessing. I'm sure there probably are some that don't, or don't like whoever's on the show. Let's put it that way. And that's fine, to each his own.
Yeah, I'm sure I probably rub people up the wrong way sometimes.
Well,
I don't try to do
I do. I know I do, but that's not anything I can do about that.
It's not a goal.
Yeah, it's not what I'm trying to do. Steve Anderson says, "Yeah, now I'm doing 4 days, 10 hours a week at work, and my wife is working and gets home around 5. I miss almost everything at night." That's kind of the same way I was, Steve, as far as, I worked for myself, so my hours were always different, but the wife always got home, at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, but Brenda she retired you, semi-retired.
She retired, and then she told me I'm pre-retired. So
isn't that cool that your wife can retire you?
Yeah, well, she's tired of me moaning and groaning when I get home from working. So, yeah, I've pretty much cut out all the hard stuff anyway, what I used to do. So I've got a guy, Ted, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
His oldest son's he's the one I'm going to refer him to. So.
Yeah, everybody, Claude and Ted do a Monday thing where they get together and build.
Yeah,
and
Ted and I have known each other 30 plus years, and Ted is he's not into any one particular thing. Now, he built a model airplane with me one time. Well, he built it in my shop, and now he's working on the other roundhouse. That's going to go on my layout. So he has a lot of interest, but he likes building miniature stuff. He did a beautiful dollhouse for his daughters, and he's real meticulous about that stuff. But he's, you guys saw him on the video when we went to Silverton.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one that drove, and we're kind of like Mutt and Jeff, because Ted's like 5'2" and I'm 6'2", so we're definitely like Mutt and Jeff. But we've been good friends for over 30 years.
I don't know how you guys managed that trip, that it didn't destroy your bodies.
Actually, it was funny because we stopped. We drove over Cinnamon Pass and got down to where we were going to stop for lunch over by Lake City. And we stopped and we ate, and we were stopped for 30, 45 minutes, something like that. And then we got back in, and when we got back in the vehicle, now we had to drive through Lake City on the highway, 2-lane highway, but nice smooth roads, right? And then we pull back off and start back up the other side, going back to Silverton. And you get on the rough, and at first the roads aren't too bad. I mean, you could drive your everyday car up and down that part of the road, but once it starts getting steep again, it starts getting a little rough. And I told Ted, I said, I didn't realize I'd gotten used to not bouncing around in it after stopping for lunch. But then by the time you get back to where you're getting out and giving them the vehicle back, it's like it really didn't bother you that much because you got used to how to set your body. I had to sit forward quite a bit and keep my back off the backrest. Otherwise, it did jar you pretty good. But if you sat up and rode it kind of like you're riding a horse, it was much easier because you could flex your body and move with the vehicle. Because it was not only bouncing forward and forward and back, but it was going side to side and up and down, and you had to be pretty flexible. But it's really not as hard as it seems. The only thing we ever worried about was coming down Engineer Pass, part that I didn't film because it was so steep and narrow. We were worried about meeting somebody coming up. So, which luckily we didn't have to deal with, but that would have been not fun to do because one of us would have had to back up. There wasn't any place to pull over. It was strictly one lane. And it was straight down. It was straight up on one side and straight down, not straight down, but might as well have been straight down the other side. So you couldn't pull over. And that was the only part that really concerned us.
Roy Elton, you say you get up to watch us, then you go back to bed. How nice. You say you're on the West Coast. Whereabouts on the West Coast?
Are you talking about Steve?
No, Roy Eltham.
Oh.
So I know Steve Anderson's up in Seattle.
He's up in Seattle, up there with the crazies.
Well,
Roy.
I'm in Oregon, but I'm kind of away from the crazies.
I think Roy's back east, aren't you, Roy?
No, he says he's on the West Coast.
Oh, he is. Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, if you're on the West Coast, you could make the Train Mountain gig next summer.
Roy, container man, says he lays in bed to watch back on track.
Hey, I've seen your bed. How do you even fit in that bed?
That's almost too much information.
Well, I liked the comment here from
Roy lives in San Diego. Okay.
Oh, he's quite a ways from Train Mountain then.
Yeah.
The comment here from Rob T-Man, he says, there are people that can't find the track, more or less get back on it.
This is true. This is true.
Well, you're far from. You can make it. It's only a 14-hour drive.
Yeah, that's closer than I am. I'm almost. I'm about a little over 2,000 miles, I think. Just a little bit over, because I calculated we're going to drive about 5,400 miles, give or take, on the whole trip. But the second half of the trip, we're driving more miles than we are in the first part. So I'm assuming we're just over 2,000 going out to Oregon.
Well, Roy, okay, what's it, like 3-hour drive from San Diego to LA or something like that? Because I know from here, it's about an 11-hour drive to LA. So yeah, you can make it in 14 hours.
Sure, easy peasy.
Easy peasy, not a problem. Gus, I really don't want you in my lap for the whole hour.
But Gus does.
Man, I really shook him up when that truck fell. He's like, man,
he's still shaking.
No, he's calmed down, but he's like, I'm just gonna lay here.
Oh, that evil truck can't get me up here.
Yeah, he's keeping his eye on it, though, isn't he?
I'm just glad it didn't hit him. Yeah.
Hey, yeah, Steve Anderson, Roy, you could take the train up.
Yeah, you could actually, because they've got to stop in Klamath Falls, and that's only 30 minutes.
Oh yeah, there you go. Well, Klamath Falls 30 minutes from Train Mountain?
Yeah, about that.
Really? It doesn't look like it's that far on the map.
Yeah, I think it's like 25 or something like that. It may not be quite that far.
Well, because we're staying in Rocky Point, which is on the other side of the lake from Chiloquin.
Right.
And I know we got to kind of go around the lake to get there, but
yeah,
it was the best place. It was the best place to stay with the dogs. So
that's kind of an interesting drive from Rocky Point to around the top of Klamath Lake, because you go, you're skirting the east side of the Cascades with Klamath Lake on one side, Cascades with Mount Hood on, and you go through trees. All of a sudden, you make a right turn towards the east, and you pop out of the trees into nothing. Right at the lake, kind of neat.
It sounds like Wyoming.
Yeah. Then it's about 10 minutes of driving through some 2-lane roads with a bunch of cattle until you run into the hills where the fire was, and you all of a sudden you just see nothing but burned trees. It was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That fire was insane.
Roy says he could take the train, but it would take like 30 hours then.
Yeah, it would.
And Steve said, no, the train doesn't take that long, Roy. It's just the changeover in LA that sucks.
Yeah. Take
Going back to Claude's story about the rocking and the rolling and not sure when it actually stopped. I did the GAN a couple of years ago, and I remember sleeping on the GAN and thinking that's one of the best sleeps I've ever had. And I'll tell you what, the first night when I got to Darwin, I got into this dingy little backpackers somewhere in the back alleys of Darwin. That night, I was still feeling the rocking and the rolling motion of the carriages. Like, I was still looking for it, and I'd wake up just like a little jump and go, what was that? And realize the bed is just dead set still. There's no movement. So my body was just compensating for something that wasn't there.
Yeah.
It's so hard for engineers to stay awake because that rocking, you just kind of just.
Oh yeah, it would. I'd be asleep all the time. Well, cruise ships are like that, and the cruise ship is much slower motion. But you're on one for a couple of days. You start getting used to it, and you don't even realize it's moving until you get back on land. And the only time I would ever notice it is if we were doing a golf excursion and going and playing golf somewhere. I'd be standing over a putt, and I could feel the boat rocking.
That was one of the really cool things of actually, being an engineer was that motion, that feeling. When you're moving, it's actually, you get so used to it that when you're standing still and nothing's moving, it feels funny. It's like getting off of a boat.
Hey, Chuck made it.
Hey, Chuck, we were talking about you.
Chuck.
Good to see you, Chuck.
Yeah, we were just talking about you. Oh, no. Yeah, no.
I'm trying to get back with chat here again.
That was the reason why I decided I didn't want to drive trains, because I reckon if I was just staring at those two long metal rails and those thousands upon thousands of what you call railroad ties, I call sleepers, I reckon that'd be hypnotizing enough.
It is. And the worst was in the fog. That 12 hours of looking out into nothing
and straining your eyes.
Oh man, that was miserable.
Steve Anderson says sleeping 4 years on an aircraft. Try sleeping 4 years on an aircraft carrier.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, because they're
and a half.
Well, they're big ships, but they're not as big as the cruise ships.
Steve, what did you do on the carriers? What was your duty?
Making his bed.
Was it true that the food on the carriers was really good? They fed you guys really well?
Oh, I'm sure they did.
I've heard that.
Oh, okay. Actually, one of the best sleeps I had was in Japan. I was on the 30th floor high winds and the building swayed back and forth. It was awesome. You sure it was the wind and not an earthquake?
That would freak me.
Yeah, earthquakes are kind of fun.
Yeah, anytime you go up in a tall building, they'll tell you, like you go to observation. I've been up in the Hancock building in Chicago, and they tell you how far it is designed to sway off the center.
Yeah,
the Empire State Building's like, I don't know, I want to say 30 feet, and that's been the 70s since I was in the Empire State Building, and it's not real tall anymore as buildings go, but they still say it sways quite a bit off center.
Yeah, we went to the top of the Eiffel Tower in 2014. We went to Paris for a vacation, and the wife didn't want to go up there, but I was like, I'm not going to go to Paris and not go on the Eiffel Tower. So we stood in line for 2 hours, something like that, to go up there. The doors open. The thing is just moving back and forth. She looked over and said, I'm done. I'm out of here.
We didn't go up in it when we were there. We passed on that.
It felt like you were on the top of a flagpole.
Oh, I can imagine.
Oh,
It was crazy.
Well, the neatest thing about the Eiffel Tower is being in Paris and looking across the cityscape and seeing it standing there and to realize you're actually in Paris. You know, when as a kid, you probably thought you'd never be somewhere like that. And then to get the chance to go there, that was the cool part for me. I didn't have to go up in it, just to know I was there.
If Bernard go ahead.
Container Man says, "It got you all beat. Drive a flatbed with 2,000-pound plastic totes with liquid in them. You stop at a stop sign, and the liquid keeps moving, even after being stopped for a few minutes." I agree with that, Roy. I have not been in a flatbed like that, but I have been in a farm truck that had liquid in the back. I don't know if it was water or what it was, but it was in one of those big plastic containers, and it did that. Yeah, you stop, and the truck just keeps doing this because it's just sloshing back and forward.
Yeah, Bernard, you said you love the videos from the Feather River. Yeah, I had one of my best friends, Rob Lindsay. We hired out almost the same time on the Santa Fe, and he just recently retired. I think it was about a year ago, and he shot quite a few videos through the Feather River, but he couldn't post them because they'd fire him. And when he retired, he sent me some videos that he did, and I put the montage together. And yeah, it's really cool. It doesn't look like that now; it's all burned up. But you know, those are some pretty cool videos.
Rob says he's got a question for you. Engineer question for Steve. When Amtrak has a power issue and BNSF sends in a unit, does the Amtrak engineer take over and the BNSF engineer just hang out?
They don't even have a BNSF engineer. What they'll do is if an Amtrak unit takes a dump, whatever host railroad can come up with power, they'll stick it on, and then the Amtrak engineer runs it. So there's no host engineer on there. They don't have a pilot or anything. So hope that answers your question.
And Roy says, drive a truck long enough, get stopped in traffic on an overpass bridge. The bridge moves as the other traffic moves across. It makes you feel like you're still moving. Roy, you don't have to be in a truck to do that. There's a bridge not here far from us that goes over the interstate. And it's a long enough bridge that if you're sitting in the middle of the span between the pillars and you get traffic moving over it, you can feel it given as the traffic moves over. So yeah, it's you become to realize that stuff's made to do that.
I think driving a truck would be cool. I think that'd be a good job. I'd have made a good trucker.
Hey, James Galton made it.
Hi,
Morning, James. Glad you can make it.
Hey, we got 19 people in chat. Wow.
All right.
We hit the big time.
It was up to 20, I think, before. I was keeping an eye on it.
Now it says 18. Okay.
Yeah, it's been fluctuating a bit.
So anyway, yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
A little bit of everything.
Steve worked in the engine rooms, taking chemical samples of the nuclear power plant. Ooh. That's pretty cool.
Who was that?
Steve Anderson.
Steve 87th.
Giving up nuclear
Anderson.
secrets, is he?
Yeah, I got a nephew that joined the Navy. He's almost ready to get out. He's always he wanted to do two things. He either wanted to go to Mars or be on a nuclear submarine. So obviously couldn't go to Mars, so he enlisted in the Navy. And he's been stationed in Hawaii for 6 years, and his boat's been dry docked the whole time. He's going to be in the Navy the whole time, never go out to sea.
Oh, man. Yeah. That's why you don't join to do something like that.
He's actually sick of Hawaii. He says the weather never changes.
Of course, you could be on the other end of it. My wife's best friend in high school, the guy she married, he wanted to be a pilot, fighter pilot. So on their first date, they went to the airport and watched airplanes take off, right? Land. That was their very first date. Anyway, after he got married, he joined the reserve, the Air Force Reserve here in Tulsa, and they were flying A7s. I think that's what he said.
Intruders.
Corsairs.
Corsairs.
May have been A6. I don't know. I don't remember which one it was. Anyway, it was Corsair. And they were hand-me-downs from the Air Force. Well, because they only had the 5 or 6 airplanes, they had taken really good care of them because that's all they had to work on all the time when they were there. And so he got a chance to go to England for, thank you, Dwayne, A7, yes. Got a chance to go to England for war games. Well, he had to fly one of these A7s all the way to England. He said, that's not something you want to do. He said, it's a very hard seat to sit on for that long. But he did have some cool video of it, flying over England at 300 foot off the deck with his CO. He was the CO's wingman. And the guy flying with the CO was taking pictures of him as they're flying over England.
Oh, speaking of wingman, that just I don't know. I just saw a really cool making of Top Gun on YouTube. It's a 2-hour video. That was
making the new one.
No, the old one.
Oh, the old one
with Tom Cruise.
Oh, that was such a beautiful movie.
I forget the name of it, but it's worth watching if you like Top Gun because they do a 2-hour behind the scenes of how they did everything, and how they actually were working off an aircraft carrier off the coast. They would fly him out there, and the guy that played Slider, I can't remember. He actually got kicked off the ship. The captain called him up and chewed his ass out for doing something. I know what it was. He did one thing that kind of torqued him, and I forget what that was. But the next one was he went to go to sleep in a bunk, and it was full. So he went to find another one that was full or was empty, went to sleep, and next thing you know, he's getting a knock on, and he was in one of the officers' bunk, and he wouldn't get out of the bunk.
Yeah.
And
that won't fly good with him.
Yeah, and it pissed him off. And, he got pulled up to the flight deck with the captain, and they kicked him off.
Bernard asking you, Steve, if you saw that crash in Medford last week.
Yes, I did. I didn't see it, but I saw pictures and heard about it. But yeah, it was a 7 passenger prop jet that took off.
Yeah.
And
twin prop. Yeah.
and it went down in the parking lot of Airport Chevrolet, which
I listened to the voice recording on it, and it sounded to me like, well, Blanco Lirio did a deal on it. Juan over at Blanco Lirio channel did a deal on it, and yeah, the guy sounded like he shouldn't have been flying. He should have stayed another day.
Why? What did
it was just the way his voice was and what he was having to say and stuff and ask for.
Slurring.
And it was stuff that Juan was saying a pilot shouldn't, once he's been told this one thing, he shouldn't have to ask about it again. He would know what he had to do. But it was bad weather too. It was misty rain, I think, and stuff like that. So anyway, it was an instrument deal. And the way they have to fly out of there, they have to fly out, turn right, make a full 270-degree circle, come back across the runway and get out over the mountains. And he turned the wrong way. I think that's the one it was. Now, may be another one I was thinking of. But anyway, it didn't work right.
Well, it's not very far from the end of the runway. It would be the south end of the Medford runway to where he went down at Airport Chevrolet. He couldn't have got very high.
No, it didn't look like he did, but he hit it going almost straight down.
Yeah,
I saw the video on it. Yeah, it was not pretty.
Yeah, it was a good thing that the dealership was closed because it hit the parking lot and slid into the service bay.
Yeah, it hit and went like that.
Yeah,
yeah, it was not a good crash at all. Not that any of them are good, but that's not one you walk away from.
We've lived up here for since '96, and that's the first crash at the airport that I remember. They've had a couple emergency landings, but never a crash like that. So that's kind of unusual.
Yeah, it was not fun, but let's see. Bernard says it was a Viper Navajo. It was said it was a SID standard instrument departure. SID standard instrument departure. That's what he was talking about. Juan over at Blanco Lirio was talking about. It was a standard deal. So once the tower told him that, he should have known exactly what he needed to do. But from the voice thing, he kept asking questions and stuff. And
unless he was unfamiliar with the airport.
Well, that could be too, but it's still a standard. It was still a standard, evidently a standard overall kind of departure that you do. I'm not a pilot, so I don't know. But
what was his destination? Because he was
Fallon, Nevada.
Fallon, Nevada.
Yeah, they were from Fallon, Nevada. They had flown in there, and then they were going back. I guess I think it was him and his wife.
I don't understand why they'd have to make that big circle, because I know the way the planes come in and out of there, and if they're coming from the north, they fly right over the Table Rocks, and that's pretty. There's no mountains. If they're coming in from the south, they've got to split Siskiyou Pass, which is right at 4,000 feet.
Well, coming in, I don't know, but taking off, they were take off and then immediately making a right-hand turn. And it looked like on the chart that they had, it was like almost 270-degree turn. So almost directly where they crossed directly across the runway, climbing out. And that gives them evidently enough time to get up over the mountains going east.
Okay. I wonder why they didn't take them all the way south through, and then have them head.
That I don't know.
California.
There again, I have no idea because I'm not familiar with the area. I'm just going by what he said on the video.
I'm gonna have to watch that because I hadn't seen.
But Juan was saying he was more concerned with the guy's questions that he was asking.
Yeah.
And apparent confusion on what he was supposed to do, and of course, then the weather wasn't good too. So not a good combination.
Hey, we got DES Media Production. That's a new one. Where are you from? Hello and welcome. What is?
Oh, you're talking about somebody came in?
Yeah, somebody in chat. DES Media Production.
I missed that.
That's an interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
Oh,
I
there
can't
it
see
is.
it on here.
And he says, "Hi, Steve."
Yeah. Well,
I'm not sure which Steve he's talking to, but welcome.
Yeah, it's like Johns. We have lots of Johns too.
Johns are easy to come by. Just ask the girls.
Well, as a pilot, that when I used to fly, I never really got round to instrument flying. I did some basic instrument flying, but when I was flying right-hand circuits, if you had you normally you'd have to do a right-hand circuit. That's standard, unless you've got a parallel runway, and then you do a left-hand circuit if you've got a runway on your right. So turning right is a pretty standard procedure for a single runway aerodrome, if that's what the aerodrome looks like. Going back to that previous discussion.
Yeah, I think there was just one. I think there was just a single runway.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Roy.
I don't remember, but it was
too many Johns, only 2 Steves, and neither one are very interesting.
Ouch. Ouch.
Ooh, man, that hurt.
Boom.
Fired. Well, Roy's met me in person, so he probably, that's kind of the truth.
Well, yeah, on that airplane crash, Juan was also talking about how it's easy to, when you have to fly instruments, to not trust your instruments because of what you're feeling. And of course, the human body's designed to see and react accordingly. And when you can't do that, you have to really trust your instruments. And he said, it's not natural for us to do that sort of thing. And when it feels like it's doing one thing and you're really probably doing just the opposite, or the airplane's doing just the opposite of what you think it's doing, and you can get in trouble real quick. And
well, that's what happened with that chopper crash in Southern California that killed that. What was the basketball player's name?
Kobe Bryant. Yeah,
Kobe Bryant. Yeah, they never should have been flying.
Yeah,
that never should have happened.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those things that because if you have problems with your ears, your inner ear and all that, you're going to have issues with balance and things like that and your equilibrium. So that can throw you out. And one of the things that they taught us when I was learning to fly is they actually gave us a hood, so you could only see the instruments. You couldn't see the window in front of you. You could only see the instruments. And it's a strange feeling, because when you're looking at the instruments and they're showing that you're flat, but you actually feel like you're flying on an angle. And my instructor said, "Oh, you kept it pretty flat," because he didn't have the hood on, obviously, sitting next to me. But he said you kept it pretty flat, but most of the time you were flying on a slight angle. And from what I could see on the instruments, I thought I was keeping the wings pretty level. So it's a really disconcerting feeling when you're looking at these instruments. I can completely understand that you're trying to follow these instruments, but the inside of your head, inside of your body is thinking, this doesn't feel right.
That's not what's happening. Yeah. Well, I know we had several private pilots at the airplane club, the model airplane club. And 2 of the 3 guys would never fly instrument. They knew how, they were rated to, but they wouldn't do it because their flying was all recreational. And they said if it was bad weather, they just wouldn't go up. They said it just wasn't worth it. And it was too easy to get in trouble. And unless you do it all the time or have to do it, he said it wasn't worth doing. So they didn't ever do it, which I can understand. I wouldn't want to fly in bad weather. I mean, it's not fun flying where you can't see,
But you do need to learn in case you do end up flying into bad weather. I mean, one of the first things they teach you, though, is don't fly into cloud. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
Fly into cloud.
That what happened with John Kennedy when he
Probably. I don't remember. I never saw anything on that, but it could have very well been. I know it was bad weather.
He was flying on instruments and wasn't qualified. He never should have been flying that day.
Well, if you're not qualified on instrument flying, you're right. You shouldn't be flying.
Path Valley Railroad, yeah. So once upon a time when I was a Navy safety guy, my safety officer crashed in a prop plane. The investigation revealed that he had a hard time with prop because of a thing called P factor.
What's that?
Yeah, P factor is the rotation. Your prop's going around, right?
Right.
So your airplane wants to go opposite of that. And that's the P factor. And if you're not ready for it, even in a model airplane, it can get you in trouble real quick. So the bigger the prop, the more P factor you have, or the faster it's turning, the more P factor you have.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a definitely real thing, and it does affect everybody in a prop airplane, unless it's a twin prop, and then they're turning the opposite direction, so you don't have that. But then you have the problem if you lose one engine, you have a problem. You always turn away from the bad engine. Never turn.
Generally, you
never
can trim
turn the
that out,
direction.
though.
Do what?
Generally, you can trim that out, though, can't you?
Well, it would depend on the airplane, I would imagine. But I just know from flying online in a simulator that you never want to turn into the bad engine, because you're not putting enough air over that wing, and you've already got drag there. So all it's going to want to do is going to stall that wing, and it's going to want to turn over. So you always want to turn the other way so you get more air over that wing, because you've got the power on this side. And so that's the way you want to turn, is the opposite direction from whatever engine's out. But, when you're up there and you're doing it and it happens to you, sometimes your brain doesn't tell you what it's supposed to tell you.
And that's why they train you, and they train you, and they train you, and they train you. So it becomes instinctual to make the right call.
Yeah.
But if you're inebriated, tired, hungry, any of those sort of things, they can affect your judgment.
Oh, sure it can. Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't be flying if you're inebriated.
Nope.
No, you shouldn't be, but
it's a lot safer be on the ground on the rails, right?
Yeah. Well, I've been with a few people like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Bernard's right. Well, they were talking about P factor in the props, and Bernard says World War II had the worst P factor 13-foot props. Yeah, I think the Corsair was one of the worst. I had heard stories that they could flip them sitting on the ground with just the speed of the prop. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I heard. So I don't know if it's flipping them or just getting them to tilt over, which wouldn't surprise me at all. Anyway,
the Corsair had the biggest, from memory. The Corsairs were the biggest.
Thanks, Path Valley. Appreciate that. It's coming.
Yeah, it is. It's getting there. We have to get him over the plumbing issue.
Check out his latest update on his own channel, on Steve Anderson's channel. It's a really good update.
Not Steve Anderson's channel.
No, the other Steve. That's Steve.
Steve Arnold.
Steve Arnold. Sorry. They both Steve A.
Yeah, they're both a couple of A's, right?
Yeah, I figured I had so much stuff I did. I figured I better do an update to kind of catch people up on it. I still got this stuff to do. Oh my God, 6 months would be long enough.
And believe it or not, we're already up to the end of the hour.
Oh man.
Oh God.
We talked way too much airplanes on that. Although I know we've got some guys that fly in the deal, and Allie's a pilot. Always wanted to be, and the wife would never let me in a little airplane. So
they're not that dangerous.
No, that's what I told her, but she didn't want me on a ladder anymore either. So there you go.
I'm not allowed to go on a ladder by myself.
Anyway, guys, be sure and be back next week. We're going to have a contest on the show, and we'll let you know what it's going to be at the beginning of the show. So be here early. Don't be late, so you can get in on the contest, and we'll give something away.
Don't forget
Next
to
week,
like, subscribe, hit the bell.
yeah, all that
Gotta
good
get that
stuff.
in.
So you hit the bell so you know when we're on, so you can get here on time.
Especially for the beans.
But anyway, we'll be here
Yes.
next week. We'll do a contest for our 2nd anniversary, and then we'll be off for 2 weeks for Christmas and New Year's. Both fall on a Saturday, so we'll be off the next 2 weeks. You guys spend that with your families, your friends, your pets.
Get as many people together as you can.
Yeah, get as many as you can together.
Yeah.
Have a good time, and don't worry about stuff.
Nope.
And in the meantime, we'll see you next week.
Later. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Peace out.